Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Let me tell you something, man. Right now, we have beautiful disasters, and that's how I'm going to describe Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul, and also the fight with Erickson Lubin and Vergil Ortiz. But let me just tell you this, man. What a show this could have been, Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. You got to put some respect on Jake Paul's name, man, with everything he's been doing since he's committed himself to the sport of boxing to really become a fighter. In addition to what he's doing with women's boxing. But Jake Paul, no matter how much he does, he'll probably always be seen as a YouTuber turned boxer because that's what he is. He is a YouTuber still, but he's no kidding a boxer. Okay, so you got to give him credit. But to just think that Jake Paul had lined up a high visibility event with Gervonta Davis, man. Two big personalities, big numbers, big spectacle. Had a lot of people excited. There was some people not too thrilled about it because it's like they wanted to see Gervonta Davis fight Lamont Roach. Okay, let's just be real about it. But the potential was bright. A lot of casual fans were talking about it. We're going to tune in to see the clash of the both worlds. A lot of insiders were hoping for real competition, and promoters, I think, were just kind of watching and dreaming of, just the crossover paydays that were going to happen. I believe Gervonta Davis is going to make like 40 to 50 million. Sure, Jake Paul is going to make something close to that. And that's the beautiful part of it. The hype machine, the spectacle, the potential, the fusion of mainstream entertainment meeting boxing's punching power. Absolutely beautiful when you think about it like that, right? But then the disaster crept in. Let me tell you something. I don't judge anybody, man, woman, when it comes to domestic violence issues, okay? Some people want me to say things. Oh, how come you're not going to say anything about it? Because it doesn't affect me, right? I have nothing to do with it. But as far as me talking boxing, I keep it around that. All I'll say is this. When it comes to Gervonta Davis, hey, just based on what I'm going out here reading in the last couple of years, there seems to be a documented pattern of domestic violence incidents. You know what I mean? The battery charge that took place in, I think it was July, after Father's Day altercation with his ex-girlfriend. I think it was a civil lawsuit, man. Surface accusing Davis of aggravated battery, false imprisonment, and emotional distress. So, Jake Paul's promotional outfit, MVP, Most Valuable Promotions, they just came out, man, and they just publicly announced investigation efforts and ultimately canceled the fight that was supposed to take place next Friday, 14 November. Which sucks because even though I wasn't too thrilled about it, if I'm out with my sons, I was just going to stay out with my sons. I wasn't going to make it back for the fight. But if I happened to be home, of course I would have watched the fight because I'm a boxing fan. So the beautiful spectacle flipped into a disaster headline. Tickets have been sold, streaming plans locked in, undercards were arranged, and fans who anticipated the event now scramble for refunds if they got it. I mean, I don't know how they're going to work it. I know Jake Paul, there was something put out, I think by MVP Promotions, about how to get your money refunded, man. But the damage to me is it's not just financial, okay? I think the trust is broken. And the bottom line is, Gervonta Davis, his brand takes a major, major hit. And Jake Paul, his brand takes a little bit of a hit too. Now you may say, well, how does his brand take a hit? Well, Paul loses his flashy target. Okay? Davis loses his momentum and reputation. So this cancellation could mark a turning point for Davis' career. Not because he lost a fight in the ring, but because he lost his credibility outside of the ring. If you can't stay out of legal chaos, sponsors fade, fans drift, and fights become harder to make. Now, everybody right now is frustrated with Clarissa Shields. Everybody has an opinion about Clarissa Shields. But no one out here is saying the things about Clarissa Shields are what they're saying about Gervonta Davis right now. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is saying that. So I just feel, right, Gervonta Davis is going to really struggle to get fights. It's not even a matter of him returning to the ring and people want to see him lose. I know some people are going to support him anyway, but I just think he's just really hurt himself. And I think his career is over. You know what I'm saying? I really do. Now for Jake Paul, he's already, sorting things out and pivoting another date, another event. But in the eyes of the fans, he just lost one of his biggest headline grabs. And it was Gervonta Davis, at least for here in America. He was the face of boxing here stateside. Now, for Davis, this might be the beginning of a slide, and I do think this is the end of Gervonta Davis' career, and the thing is, it's not like Gervonta Davis has been out here getting beat up in fights. Gervonta Davis, since he's turned pro, been whipping everybody's ass. Some people felt he's cherry-picked. He kind of swerved the 50-50 fights, or the fights where he would enter and have some doubt and even have the fans kind of doubting whether he would win or not. But the bottom line is, I don't know if anyone's going to want to try to market Gervonta Davis as far as a next opportunity in boxing, because let me tell you something, most people don't want to be attached to that shit involving violence and chaos, especially with a guy where, the headlines keep coming out about him. It's something about women and domestic issues. Now remember, I believe in letting everything play out, even the things they say about women. Let it play out, man. We ain't going to sit here, man, and judge them. But what I'll tell you is, sometimes, man, from where there's smoke, there's fire. And for Gervonta Davis, man, I ain't going to lie, I wish him the best of luck. But that's the question mark about Gervonta. What's next? The beautiful dream of, I just think this mainstream superstardom, I just think it's all turned into a headline scandal, and that matters as much in boxing as any knockout that Gervonta Davis has delivered for the fans. So we got to sit back and see how all this plays out for Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul heard he could be facing Carl Froch. Edgar Berlanga called him out. Andre Ward's name was thrown out there. They reached out to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou came out and he turned down the Jake Paul opportunity. Somebody's mentioning Anthony Joshua. Look, I don't know what Jake Paul's going to do. But one thing's for sure. I mean, even Rolly Romero was saying he'll fight Jake Paul. Let me tell you something. Jake Paul's in high demand. All these fighters know if you fight Jake Paul, you're going to get paid good money. But I will say this. Jake Paul is in a unique situation where he may be a little desperate. I know that they're trying to reschedule the fight into December sometime. He's going to need somebody, and he's going to need a big name, and he's going to have to pay him. But what's sad is it sounded like the Gervonta Davis Jake Paul fight wasn't really selling the way they were hoping. And you would have to think if Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul wasn't getting fan support the way maybe Jake Paul had forecasted, I'm telling you, anyone outside of Gervonta Davis, unless he brings on an Anthony Joshua, another megastar, you know what I'm saying? I just don't know if and how and why anybody's going to get behind the Jake Paul fight. He may have to go into the MMA world. He may have to go to the UFC world. He may have to pull out another old retiree. Maybe he goes after Deontay Wilder. He needs to make an announcement of his next opponent of a name that's going to shock us all. Well, we're going to sit back and be like, oh, shit. Because the Gervonta Davis fight, it didn't really give the buzz that we're hoping for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was going to make a joke about seasoning food, but y'all probably wouldn't get the joke because, it's a Caribbean thing with the green seasoning and all that shit we use in food. Islanders know what I'm talking about. Everybody from the Caribbean, no matter what island you're from, you have your own version of that green seasoning and you blend up with all the spices and shit. But the bottom line is, Beautiful disaster. Something so beautiful. Looked like it was going to be something interesting that's turned into a disaster. And you just see the common denominator when it comes to these reports of male boxer and women over the last couple of years has been Gervonta Davis. And from what I've read, it doesn't seem like it's the same female. So best of luck to him. I don't really have an opinion on it, but what I'll say is, if in fact this stuff is happening, he got to sort things out. It's just not good, because he don't want to end up in a courtroom and somehow he end up getting thrown in the joint, and not for no 1 month, 6 months. Like, you know, he's doing 4, 5, 10 years. Like, he don't want to deal with that bullshit. Jail is no place for no human being, man. Especially for something like this. That's not what he wants. Gervonta Davis, man, has beautiful children. He got a great life, at least from the outside looking in. If somebody gets you that upset, you got to just take a deep breath and move it right. You got to figure out a way to just control yourself. It ain't good. It ain't good, man. Anyway, best of luck to him, Jake Paul. Hopefully he gives us a big name. Now, when it comes to Erickson Lubin and Vergil Ortiz Jr., let me tell you something. A true 50-50 fight, another beautiful disaster. We got to flip that thermostat from that Tank and Jake Paul talk, you know what I'm saying? Lubin and Ortiz, this is a real fight. This ain't no exhibition. Matter of fact, these two guys are coming in there to inflict serious damage on each other. Somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to probably get knocked out. And if the ref doesn't stop the fight, if the corner doesn't stop the fight, if the fighter doesn't take a knee and quit, someone could get beaten to death. These two guys are serious business, man. They bring ill intentions when they come to that ring. Now, on paper, right, when you look at it, this is boxing's version of pure fun. You know what I'm saying? Two fighters, styles likely to collide, risk to reward high. Expect fireworks is all I'm going to say. Now, that's the beautiful side, right? Genuine competitive tension, not just this promotional fog bullshit you get sometimes when fights are announced. Ortiz, 23 wins. What's he at? 21 knockouts or something like that? 22 knockouts. Undefeated, dangerous, and he is rising, right? A lot of people feel Vergil Ortiz is the top dog at 154. I can understand that, because you look at two of the guys he fought. He fought Bohachuk and Majumov. Doesn't matter what we feel about who won those fights. The bottom line is he got the wins on his record. And he was going to fight Murtaza Aliyev. De La Hoya saved him from himself. So Vergil Ortiz, remember Master P had that song, Bout It, Bout It? Vergil Ortiz is Bout It, Bout It. Matter of fact, he should get that shit tattooed on his shoulder. Because that dude just does not care. But Lubin, I think he's 27 wins, like 2 losses, 19 KOs, something like that. He may be the underdog, man, but he brings experience, craft, hunger, reach, combination punching, and he's no kidding. He's a pure boxer. But here comes the disaster possibility, right? We just talked about the beautiful, what's beautiful about it. But there's some disaster here now. You know, in true 50-50 fights, someone's got to lose. Hold on. All right, sorry. Son's out down the stairs making a bunch of damn noise. It's my older one. Ain't my little ones. It's my 2 big ones. You know, my 15-year-old. They know better than that shit. The little ones, I don't worry about. They can make all the noise they want. Anyway, back to business, man. Made me lose my train of thought. Now, that's the beautiful side. But when it comes to the disaster, right? For the loser, the fallout is immediate. Immediate, man. Styles make fights. Ortiz, monster pressure. And you just have to think, at some point in time, if Lubin can't keep Ortiz off of him, or if Lubin gets tired, Ortiz is going to overwhelm him, and Lubin's going to lose by TKO, right? But Lubin has craft. But if Lubin, again, if he's able to pick apart Ortiz, start to cause some visible damage, and cause Ortiz to be reluctant, or overthink things, Ortiz can find himself getting behind the scorecards, and you can see Lubin start to open up, man, and just start to break him down. But this is one thing that I'm concerned of for this fight. A lot of people feel Lubin's washed up because they can't get out of their mind what they saw happen when he fought Jermell Charlo. And they can't get out their mind what they saw happen when he fought Sebastian Fundora. But how about this? Maybe there's a little bit of wear and tear on Lubin because he was in some pretty competitive fights, right? But if we're going to say that about him, what about Vergil Ortiz? He was in some tough fights with Bohachuk and Majumov recently. You know what I'm saying? Recently. So the way I see it is that just makes the fight that more competitive and that more evenly matched. So I don't necessarily think that Ortiz is the fresh fighter and Lubin's the washed up fighter. I don't see it that way. But I will say this, because a lot of people are favoring Ortiz to win. If Ortiz mishandles the fight, he is going to lose. I'm telling you that. So for both of them, the risk is high. You know, Lubin's team openly admits everything is stacked against him, which I'm glad that they're aware of that. Fighting away in Texas, Ortiz is from Texas, De La Hoya, Golden Boy card, underdog numbers, the momentum and everything going in Ortiz's favor. I'm telling you, when Lubin coming out there and you start hearing the Mexican horn, when they start hearing that shit, Viva Mexico Cabrones. Lubin gonna be shitting bricks. He better hope there's a Lubin contingent in it and be shouting out, Viva El Negro Cabrones. Because he gonna need it, man. I'm telling you. I live out here in Texas. I'm telling you, man. It's all love out here. But when it comes to fights, shit parts like the Red Sea. Even if that's the trip. Even if you get some Mexican fans that are like, man, hey, like someone saying, yeah, man, Crawford gonna whip Canelo's ass, but we still picking Canelo. I was like, so you know Canelo ain't gonna beat Crawford, but you still going with Canelo? Like, yo, man, you want me to get killed? So that shit had me cracking up, man. Some of my friends were out here talking. They were like, ain't no way in the world I can let nobody know I'm going against Canelo. They'll kill me. And that shit had me laughing. But I'll say this. The beauty about this fight is the fight's promise. The disaster is the cost. You know what I'm saying? Someone's career is up out of here on to bigger and better and huge fight paydays. Someone's career is going to stall out. And that is just the facts, man. And they're going to have to rebuild. It's going to be a reconstitution phase. And I would hate to see that for both of these guys because these are two of the good guys, clean guys, don't bring no drama, not involved in bullshit, just come to fight and come to try to win in every fight that they're in. But when you're in a high-risk fight like this, let me just tell you, man, a bad loss means it's not even a short-lived reconstitution. It's a long rebuild than a stepping stone. And that's why I think when these guys get in the ring, they're going to be going at it. Neither one of them want to be, they don't have time for that shit to be taking 2-3 years to keep fighting and try to get themselves back in the position they're in now. That takes a lot of time, man, to get yourself back in position. Even if you have a good team behind you and you have the machine behind you, it's still not easy. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. But if you say, so what do I think is the difference in this fight for one of these, for someone to win? I think it's stamina. I think this shit boils down to stamina. Whoever gasses out first, their ass is in trouble. Might get knocked down, might get stopped. A real disaster. And for boxing, when rebuilds happens, you lose momentum. Fans lose interest. And the elegant beauty of competition gives way to the sordid what happened of decline. And that's why this matchup thrills. You know what I'm saying? This is a really, really good fight. Because the beautiful risk is high, man. It's real high. And the disaster consequence is ugly as hell. So the sport wins when both men fight with heart, which is what we're going to get. But it could lose if one collapses and we're left asking questions of matchmaking and future relevance. If Ortiz gets in there and Lubin happens to blast him out in 2 rounds, it's going to make the sport of boxing look crazy. Because everyone's going to start talking about, well, Ortiz, he had the rhabdomyolysis, and maybe that's what why Lubin was able to win. Lubin's not going to get the full credit. But if Ortiz blasts him out of there, kind of like what Gervonta Davis did to the guy Usman Lima, they're going to be like, this was horrible matchmaking. You know, they knew Lubin was going to lose, or Lubin took a dive, and fans aren't going to give either one credit. So that's what I'm hoping for, a very competitive fight. Ebb and flows. Someone gets dropped. Maybe they both get dropped. That way, if the fight, someone does get stopped, or if it goes to a decision, at least we can say there was no bullshit here. But if it goes to a decision, let me tell you this, and I just got to be real. If this shit goes to decision, Lubin's ass is in trouble. And it's just a pattern there when it comes to Golden Boy fighters. And when their guys fight, it's a Golden Boy card. You got to kill him. So if Lubin doesn't get a knockout, and it's just a competitive fight, I just don't see him getting the win. So he knows what time it is. Lubin ain't stupid. That's what I'm telling y'all. Do not be surprised if Lubin comes out here, man. Green light, go. All gas, no brakes. And he's letting his hands go. I just hope that he doesn't gas out and end up collapsing in that ring, because Ortiz is going to bring it. For those of you saying, man, why you say Ortiz always does. They know what Ortiz brings to the table. Ortiz ain't no joke, man. Vergil Ortiz gets busy. So you ask me who you picking. I think Lubin may get him, though. I'm just looking at Ortiz and how aggressive he is, kind of how chaotic he is, how, he just wants to brawl. And don't get me wrong, he does a lot of great things in there when he's not just coming forward and wanting to get hit. He's working behind the jab, he's slipping, he's countering, he's getting inside, he's going to the body. He does a lot, but because he takes so many risks, he exposes himself and he's vulnerable. It's if Lubin can exploit those things. And I think he can if he can stay calm, stay behind that reach he has. He's got a long-ass reach. And if he can push Ortiz back with the jab or catch him coming in with the jab, if he can use those long arms to tie up Ortiz, because fighting on the inside, Lubin's arms are too long. Ortiz has the shorter arms. His shots are going to get there. They're more compact, more concise. Lubin has used those long arms to jab or to tie him up, hold him, pivot, turn him, shoulder bump him, make sure he has a proper head placement. He needs to do everything smart and calculated and strategic to make sure, man, that he doesn't get caught with no shit on the inside. That's going to be the wrong place, in my opinion, for Lubin to be against the guy with the shorter arms. Best place for him to be long range, not even mid range. Be at long range and be the boxing puncher that you are. Outbox him, hit him with hard shots, discourage him, make him doubt himself. Then after round 7 or 8, if he has an expanded gas tank, really start to pour it on thick. And next thing you know, he may see the referee jumping to stop the fight because Ortiz ain't gonna quit. But he gonna fight until the death. But at the same time, Ortiz could come in there and just steamroll Lubin. Catch him cold. Lubin gonna come out there trying to box and be cute. Next thing you know, Ortiz just comes in like the Texas Tasmanian devil, man. And just put the Mexican bing bings on him. He's gonna have Lubin hearing the Mexican horn. Bing, 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 bing. And Lubin gonna be like, fuck that, I shouldn't have went to Texas. Should have fought that man on neutral ground. Anyway, damn good fight, man. I'm glad for this fight. But that Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis stuff, it's crazy, man. Anyway, beautiful disasters. Got my head spinning. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.